Thank you very much. So I have to admit that I'm quite impressed with the number of participants this year. The audience here is huge, but outside it's bigger. It's over 2,000 registration. We are more than 1,700 people attending this conference. It's quite impressive. Unfortunately, I'm after a lot of very good speakers, and a lot has been said, but I think it's also important to repeat the important messages, so I will say again some important messages. But also I will try to give you maybe a different angles of what has been said and the angle from Directorate of Defense, and I hope that it will illustrate a little bit differently what the important program that we are supporting. Before going into the main topic, which is Satcom communication, sovereign Satcom communication. First, the strategy. We published in 2022, in February 22, our first defense space strategy. And I put just one extract of the main objective of the strategy, which is the fact that we want to act in solidarity. It was clearly illustrated this morning by Minister Bacchus. But also the fact that Luxembourg Defense wants to consolidate its role as a reliable reference partner. And here, I would like that you understand correctly what it means, a reference partner. I joined Luxembourg in the Directorate of Defense of Luxembourg in 2016, and over the years, I see the number of development we made in space, the number of capability we were able to develop. And today, when the NATO and CIA has an issue in Satcom, in a program, they are thinking about Luxembourg. They are calling us and asking, can you support us? Can you help us? That's what I mean by reference partners. That's what we mean by being we think about Luxembourg if we want to develop something, not only from the commercial side, but also from the institutional side, they think about Luxembourg. It was really a huge improvement, and we will continue in this way. From this main objective, we have different strategic objectives, which are the one listed in the slide. We want to consolidate our capabilities, we will increase the resilience, because space today is definitely not an enabler anymore in operations. It's part of the fight. It was illustrated this morning by General Middleton, and that's clearly a part of the fight. We need space system. We need to support the freedom of action in and from space. It's here definitely important, and I can illustrate this objective by the fact that we have today a satellite in storage since more than 1 year, our Earth observation satellite, just because SpaceX is not able to launch our system yet. Hopefully it will come in the next months, but it's clearly a fact. Access to space is critical, and it's an issue. We want to foster our national and international corporations. It has clearly illustrated by Sasha Bailey, the cooperation in national with Lux Innovation. I can talk the cooperation with the industry, with SES, with LusGovSat, the international cooperation with the United States. We built this partnership together under NSPA framework. The cooperation with our friends from Belgium, from Netherlands, and many others. So cooperation is key. And of course, to develop all this program, we need to secure skilled and motivated workforce. In Luxembourg Directorate of Defense, we have actually 20% of the forces here in front of you. But nevertheless, even if we are a limited number of people, we can do a lot. Coming to the strategy, the Satcom strategy, it is illustrated in this slide. As many nations, we are thinking multi-orbit and multi-band. Multi-band, multi-orbit, in GEO, we are, of course, working together with LusGovSat, providing secure communication services. We are one of the historical partners of WGS. Through this constellation, we are also able to provide X and mil-K-band capabilities. We are closely working with SES as well, because we need commercial system. We are using MEO constellation, the R3B mPower, and we are in the future thinking about the LEO, which is also LEO, by the way, MEO, sorry, by the way, Iris Square, which will provide KU and K-band services. All these capabilities deserve definitely national users, our army, but it's not only for our own national use. It's also for the partners. Which are the partners? I just illustrated a couple of them. It's not all of them, but all these entities illustrated with logos are actually partners of Luxembourg in satellite communication. And here I would like to highlight that, from my point of view, we are talking a lot about the sexy part of space, which is the satellites, or rocket science, launching satellites. It's really fun. We forget sometimes the ground segment, even if we're talking about integrated ground system, and which is also important to have a good connectivity, cyber protection, or all this ground and so on. But from my point of view, the most important segment of space is definitely the users. We often forgot the users, which need to have this capability, who need to operate these capabilities, and these users need to be trained, they need to be supported, they need to be ready to protect, to mitigate the threats of what is happening in space, and that's, from my point of view, the most important part of space activities. And last but not least, for the user, we also have to educate them, educate the people who will use a warfighter who has his weapon in his hand and not think about what is happening in space, but he needs to understand what is happening in space just to be ready in case of something is happening in the system. Education is not only for the warfighters, it's also for the leaders, because it's also important that the leaders understand the role of space in the operations. It was illustrated this morning. LusGovSat, definitely a very, a success story which was not easy. Of course, we're talking a lot about GovSat today, providing these secure and flexible X and mil-K-band services on non-preemptible terms. It's a success story today, but it was a long journey. It was not easy. Every day we build that together, and because we have a very good relation with SES and with the entire GovSat team, we succeed to make it happen. And I just want to highlight here that I'm very proud to be part of it since the beginning. And actually, the main achievement this year is the fact that since 1st January 25, we joined the NSS 6G program. So the NSS 6G program is the program from NATO who aim to strengthen the alliance Satcom capabilities until 2034. And now, today, Luxembourg is able to deliver this new, deliver strategic capabilities to NATO together with very important allies, France, Italy, UK, US, and Spain. The future is what we are doing now, today. We are prospecting a new satellite, GovSat-2. We need to increase the capability we have in space. We need to increase it. We need to provide more X-band and mil-K-band and UHF capability. We are today analyzing this evolution and potentially launching a new satellite in the next years. An important program from Luxembourg, the Satcom support we are providing to NATO ISR forces. We are supporting them with Satcom services, but also Satcom farm sustainment, meaning that thanks to the support of Luxembourg and together with GovSat, we are able to support the forces and the alliance. MGS, it was also highlighted this morning. Here, it's important point to illustrate the fact that we are leveraging commercial capabilities. It was highlighted this morning once again. We cannot only rely on governmental system. We need commercial capacity. It's a perfect example of what we did together with the United States. By the way, you probably heard that NATO published its first commercial space strategy. Definitely today we need commercial assets to fulfill the NATO and the alliance and all partners' requirements. We'll build it under the NSPA framework. I think you heard the speech from General Manager from NSPA, from Minister Backers, but also from the CEO of SUS. We'll build that under NSPA framework. It's important to know that this partnership we established is not only about MGS, it's a partnership for Satcom services, meaning that we are offering to the alliance, but also for the potential partners who want, NATO partners who want to join this partnership to access, to provide Satcom services, and we have 15 different services that could be provided under this framework, and we can benefit of economy of scale. We can do a lot through this partnership, and I really encourage the alliance to engage with me or with other partners or with NSPA directly if they are interested in this partnership. MGS, it was definitely a long journey with a couple of obstacles. So we started the discussion with the United States in 2018. So it took us 6 years to build this partnership, but we succeeded, meaning that even if it takes time, we can make it happen. I also want to illustrate some use cases that MGS can provide. The Satcom overlay, Empower is providing a very impressive capability. If you need to learn more about that, don't hesitate to engage with SUS directly. It's quite impressive what Empower can provide. And believe me, I had the opportunity to test the system, and even if the engineers prepare something specific for me, I stressed the system as much as I could, and it was quite impressive. The low latency services and the capability this system is able to provide is really, really impressive. A quick word about IRIS². You probably heard about that, the ArtGov part of the IRIS² and the LightGov. Important for defense user, for the ArtGov system, but also for the commercial user, the private companies, European citizens, and why not in the future, NATO could also access through the LightGov to these services. It will be a multi-orbit constellation. It was highlighted this morning with MEO and LEO services. But it's not only a constellation. It's really a network. It's a complete system. You know that the Commission has signed a contract with a concession, SpaceRise, led by SES. Reason why it was really important for me to illustrate this program this morning. The future sovereign use of IRIS² is quite, from my point of view, obvious. We have the ArtGov who can deliver military use to connect vehicles on battlefield. Because it's a LEO and MEO low latency constellation, it will be able to provide communication for small terminals, perfect for Satcom on the move, low latency, and all this type of application for the operations. But also to connect embassies, with a Satcom overlay in case of crisis. You know that internet and the connectivity to the embassy can be shut down quite easily. Like for submarine cables, you know that sometimes ships, unfortunately, can cut cables. It happens, but by IRIS² or by MEO Empower services, we could avoid to be shut down by providing a Satcom overlay in case of crisis, and many applications of this future constellation. And by the way, Luxembourg will also host one of the 3 future control center infrastructure. It will be located in Bettembourg, provided by LusConnect. And for different reasons, we provide some incentive to host this infrastructure. Before concluding my presentation, I would like to also illustrate some threats, because we're talking a lot about using Satcom commercial capabilities. We know that the modern Satcom is not only about governmental system, but also commercial system. But it's associated with new threats. We leveraging commercial Satcom could be linked with new emerging threats, like First, the commercial space sector is the largest attack surface in the space domain. We have, of course, governmental system, but today it's really a very small portion of what is in space. So if the enemy want to attack to do something, it's easier for them to attack a commercial system. Secondly, the vast majority of NATO space domain is outside of government and military control. So it's likely, as I mentioned, a target in the conflict. And we also a mega constellation. By the way, 7,000 of the active satellites are, of the 10,000 active satellites are owned by one company, Starlink. And it's quite, the freedom of movement in space is becoming quite complex. And it's also increased the competition, and as I mentioned, especially in LEO. I didn't mention it in the slide, but also the space activities are not only in space itself, but it also include the ground segment. We talk about the importance of the ground integrated digital system. It's about the supply chain, it's about the management, the logistic, the communication line. It's a very complex system, and all these structures are potential threats for us, and we need to plan mitigation measures. And I illustrate also these threats by two questions. How can we attribute and mitigate operations against commercial assets owned by the third country enterprise, but utilized by NATO nations? It's really complex. Also to limit the threat actor for targeting NATO's use commercial space sector if they are using legally means. So when you establish a contract, it's most of the time published with press release, so the enemy will know what you are doing, what you are using as commercial assets, and it's definitely a threat. And I conclude by saying that the commercial space sector may be targeted more aggressively than government or military assets. It's easier for the enemy to target this system. And here I didn't highlight the electronic warfare, which is a fact, which is a reality every day. So, conclusions: to strengthen our sovereign capability, we need to be resilient, and we need governmental assets, but also we need to leverage some commercial capabilities. The multi-orbit approach is definitely key. We have the GovSat system, which is for us the most important asset we have in space to develop our Satcom services, but we also need to access to commercial geosystem, MEO system. The fact that we are the partner for WGS is also important for us, and we'll continue to work together with our industry to provide services to the Alliance and to our partners. This slide, it's actually, my slides is open for questions, but unfortunately we don't have time anymore. But I just put together a couple of images. It's just illustration of a lot of programs that we are developing they are still continuously developing in Luxembourg. A lot of acronyms, and you can Google it, you will see that Luxembourg is part of all of these programs. It's just a couple of them. And when I say that we want to be a reference partner, it's just an illustration of what we are doing in space. And believe me that even if you have 20% of the workforce, space workforce in front of you, we are doing a lot. Thank you for your attention.